Here?
Yes.
Yep. I'll call the meeting to order. Review the agenda for addition or removal, adjustment. Anything, Valerie?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay, anybody else? Overview of Zoom meeting operations and procedures, rules for participation, mute your microphones, be recognized by the chair or another member of the board. Everybody ought to be fairly familiar with that now. Public forum, opportunity for citizens not on the agenda to briefly discuss something, anything, anyone.
Anything appropriate?
Yes. Nothing here, nothing there. Department head roundtable. Meredith, you want to go first?
Maybe.
Maybe not. Bruce.
It was mowing the lawn when I went by, but that was quite a while ago.
I don't have much to add. I just want to remind the public that with increased traffic downtown, the parking, people are parking with their left wheel to curb, and they're not allowed to do that. So we put something on our Facebook post, but in front of the post office, the bank, and the library seem to be the three areas that are the most, where we see it the most. But it makes it hard for them to leave the parking space to get into traffic safely. So we've issued some warnings. We're getting to the point that we're going to issue tickets.
You mean they're parking against traffic, right?
Yes, against traffic.
Left or curb? Left.
Yes.
Yeah, I just wanted to make it clear if people didn't understand.
Yeah.
I have a question for you, Bruce.
Sure.
So I've noticed at the new South Mountain Tavern, we have our parking spaces marked down there, but there's often a couple more cars parking in front. And I don't know if it's because they're still setting things up, but I'm not sure what our official stance is on that, if people continue to park there. And I don't know if it's the owners or if it's people, frequenting the place or something, but it's not a marked space, but I know it's right outside the building and there is space there. What are your thoughts on that?
If they're not blocking the driveway, they're allowed to park there.
Okay.
Everything further east of that, on the side of the road, we don't have spaces marked, but there's enough room to park between the white line and the sidewalk.
Okay, good to know. Thanks.
Anything else, Bruce?
That's it.
Great. Meredith, I see you're here now.
Sorry about that. My mouse disappeared on my computer. So I was trying to figure
Ran
that
away.
out. Well, I do have a Holly Hall update for later on, but did want to mention our camps are going really well. We're at the rec field. Everything has just been, the kids have been great. The weather hasn't been great, but we've got the pavilion. And then if it's really kind of downpour, we've got the hub. So everything's working out pretty good on that side. We've had music in the park on Sundays, music at the rec field every other Sunday, which was fun. We had a great turnout for this last Sunday. And then the next one is the Tisami Bots in 2 weeks. And then for this week, we have theater happening at the pavilion in the rec field tomorrow. And then we have the Very Merry Theater Group coming in on Thursday on the town green. So lots of fun activities that are happening.
Anything else?
Oh, Meredith, I have a quick question. I see in the warrant, there's something about a water bottle station. Do we have something put in? And
Yeah, this is actually pretty cool. I had mentioned it before. So we had gotten a grant through Rise Vermont and the Rec Club to get a water bottle filling station. And so that grant covered the cost of the water bottle filling station, and the Rec Club paid for the rest. And then what we're doing is the installation is being split by the Rec Department, the Rec Club, and the MAUSD ELP program, because we're the three heaviest users of the park. And so it is at the rec field. The water tastes great. It's easy to use. And a lot of people have been pretty excited about being able to hydrate there.
cool.
Any other questions?
It might be worth noting that Jill Marsano and V-Tooms donated $500 of their time to towards the installation.
Yes, that is correct. It is amazing. That was awesome. And they did such a nice job, and they're just great people too.
Thanks for them. Eric?
Just plugging away. We put in a driveway culvert today. We picked up the the stump grindings. Picking up some more wood that was cut down a year ago on Moncton Road, and just doing the normal grading, mowing, just plugging away.
Okay.
Eric, any update on the signs for the intersection
Next year.
next year?
Okay. Any other questions for Eric?
No, I'm working on it, Ian. I'm getting there.
Okay.
Yeah, may I just, sorry, I just want to give a big shout out to Eric for helping us out at Sycamore Park, and being able to get some of the gravel down and being able to grade it out. And the grading will happen tomorrow and to finish it up, but big thanks out, a shout out to you as well, Peeker. So thank you.
Yep.
Alrighty. I believe Brett is on vacation, so we won't hear from him tonight. Regular business. Consider adjustments and approval to indemnification agreement related to the land transaction with Stony Hill Properties. To support
Hopefully the notes in my TA report were clear enough that there were different versions floating around at the end of June or so. And the version that was forwarded to the VLCT to review is basically what you have now tonight. And so they have reviewed the more detailed insurance section. And then subsequent to that, I was provided with a version that did not include that, but just included the reference to including the partnership as an additional insured. So I was under the impression at that time that somehow somebody made a decision to just go with the shortened version. But in retrospect, folks felt it would be more appropriate to go with the version that the VLCT reviewed and signed off on.
Michelle?
Yeah, I mean, I'm fine with that. But is that, Val, that's what we carry currently? That's not anything different from what we already carry, right?
Correct. And the VLCT folks affirmed that it's standard.
I'm actually surprised they wanted that specific information in there, because as time goes by, probably those policy amounts will change.
Well, that's what I thought too. And I thought maybe that's why they decided to go with the more shortened version, but apparently not. I guess they felt it was more appropriate to go with the version that the VLCT reviewed.
Okay.
Anybody else?
I make a motion that we sign the indemnification agreement.
Do we sign, or do we give Val authority?
Well, just authorize either the town administrator, chair, or vice chair to sign.
Is that your motion, Ian?
Yes.
And
Second.
Darla seconded it. Any further discussion?
That's the piece of land for Upper North, right?
Yes.
That's the 5 acres.
Yeah.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Motion carried. 1 nay. Consider acceptance of revised stormwater infrastructure maintenance agreement between Stony Hill Properties and the town of Bristol related to the development of the Stony Hill Business Park. And this was the
stormwater
concerns we
treatment.
had about who was going to maintain the stuff that wasn't in the right of way of the.
Right, and it seemed like the main issue of concern at the previous meeting was the town being tagged as being responsible for the costs of it. And reading the thing through and talking about it with the town attorney, just removing the reference to the costs it seemed to address those concerns and preserved all of the other intent.
Okay, so Val, you're gonna have to explain this to me because I'm trying to understand. I mean, it says the town is solely responsible for the construction, installation, maintenance, repair of the roadway, which I assume we are, even up through the 100 feet back, right? So our DPW is going to be installing that, or is the contractor that has been picked going to be doing that?
The contractor will.
Okay, but we're paying for it?
No, we're not. So the reference to cost is removed. But the
Right,
town is,
we're responsible for construction, installation, maintenance, repair. Well, we're not really responsible for the construction.
well, we are. The town is hiring the town hired the engineer to design it, and the town is hiring the contractor to build it. So those expenses are coming through the town. And those expenses that are not covered by the Northern Border Regional Commission grant, $500,000, will be paid by Stony Hill.
That's the part that I wanted to be clear in here, that we're not responsible
For the total cost.
total cost, but we're not really responsible for the construction, so to speak. It's just going through us because of the block grant. Is that because of the grant?
Yes, the town needs to own it. And
Right.
the town needs to own the easement, which it now does. Well, it hasn't been officially closed yet, but the select board voted to accept the easement area. And the next step of identifying who's responsible for maintaining the infrastructure after it's built and building it. And it focuses on the distinction between what's within the 100-foot easement area and what's outside of it.
How do you feel about, I mean, I just have concerns about
Being
our taxpayers being tagged. You know, I understand we have the grant and we're supposedly responsible up to whatever the total of the grant is, and then,
Well, should that say that in there then? Is that
well,
what
that's
you're
what I'm
thinking?
trying to think. Shouldn't that be in there somewhere?
the conversation we had a couple weeks ago was that we didn't really want to mention the
The
grant.
grant?
That's right.
Yeah, I just get concerned that our taxpayers, I mean, and this is nothing against Stony Hill. I just get concerned that at some point that somebody comes back on us and says you're responsible. I mean, there's nothing that says anything about the cost in here. I get that and I'm okay with that. But I mean, if you guys are okay with it.
The title of the document is Stormwater Treatment System Agreement between the town of Bristol and Stony Hill Properties. I think a lot of the other stuff is context. That's my opinion. And we have a separate financial agreement with Stony Hill where they've committed to paying the balance of whatever the grant does not pay. And if they fail to pay, then the town has the option of putting a tax lien on their property.
So our liability is merely, like,
Hopefully
we have to
none.
own it. Yeah, we have to own it so that, but it gets paid for out of the grant, not through taxpayer money.
The
For
grant.
for the
Stony Hill.
installation,
For the
though, once that's over, then the town is on the hook for any maintenance and stuff.
Because it'll become town infrastructure. So
Okay.
it makes sense that within that right-of-way area, the town will continue to be responsible for future maintenance and repair.
We do have an agreement outside of this with Stony Hill. Okay.
Yes, early on, when the grant agreement was first executed.
I do vaguely remember that.
And it was reviewed by everybody's attorneys, the towns and theirs.
Right, I'd entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion that we accept the agreement for Stony Hill Properties, Firehouse Drive infrastructure, stormwater and utility improvements.
With
Second.
Val or somebody having.
With Val or chair or vice chair.
Further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Raise your hand. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Holly Hollow roof repair status.
Can I share my screen?
Yes, let me make you a co-host.
Great.
Done, I think.
Okay.
Hey, I don't see my truck parked there.
You guys see it?
The roof looks good from here.
That's a nice shot.
Yeah, that was from last year. It was great. There was no cars in the intersection. It was 10-10, so that was pretty amazing.
Wow.
All right, so the Holly Hall slate roof repair, Chris Hahn from Rooster, pardon me, Construction started July 8th. So pretty much that is that. The picture. I really love this calendar, by the way, so I had it added in here. But just to let you guys know the history and use of the Holly Hall, built in 1884. 2008, 2011, major reconstruction to the Holly Hall. That's when those nice offices downstairs came about. And I saw pictures from before, and wow, what an amazing transformation. And then the Holly Hall received the 2012 Preservation Award for the reconstruction of the Holly Hall. And then with the calendar 2017 to Let's Hear It, and that was when they installed the better sound system inside. The Holly Hall is used for town meetings, theater productions, classes, clinics, communities, gatherings, and beautiful centerpiece of town, which I really believe strongly, plus the fact that the bell rings is kind of, it's beautiful in its sense. So these are multiple pictures of the inside, and the one that I really want you guys to kind of concentrate on is the one that is on the upper right-hand corner. You'll see there it's kind of wood, but then there's a little light of in there, and that's daylight. So that's looking through on the second floor of the bell tower, and that's daylight through there. And then those buckets are there when it's a heavy downpour. So that kind of gives you an idea of what the situation is there. So Rooster started, and he came over with the lift that he's getting from Sargent, and he replaced 200 slate pieces all over the place, all over the sides of the Holly Hall. And he had to be pretty picky and choosy because this is what he was working with. And this is an actual picture from the Holly Hall. So you can see that with this picture, you can see the thinning of the slate, the white discoloration. That's really a big key of slate that's too old. The chips and the cracks, and then the moss and the mold that grows on the slate. So pretty much like there's a few of these that he definitely replaced that were crucial. This part is pretty serious. This is the copper flashing that is in the corner of the bell tower where the roof meets the bell tower itself. You can see how many nails were put in there, and then the caulking on those nails. Now that caulking actually dries out in time, and then it exposes the junctions and the nail area, and then also with time, the thinning of copper. So, sorry, I'm working off, there we go. So I talked to Chris today, and so he just got back to me moments ago that with this copper replacement, materials labor will run around $3,900. And he's gonna need to get new copper standing seam and fasteners, new rain diverter at the bottom of the area, and pull all the slate around the area. But he's really good about reusing good slate, so that's a nice positive. Also, he'll still need to keep using the lift for this area. Right now, it's kind of interesting, you know, trying to find the copper at good price, and so he's working on that as we speak, finding a good price for the town. So today he took off the railings. You'll see the railings down on the entranceway to the town offices, and this is kind of crucial because you can see the rot that is there. So once he pulled the railings off, then he took the flashing off that was there. And you can see, obviously, right there, there's some serious rot that he's going to be working on. And the spacing right there on the upper right-hand corner, I mean, there's just a big gap right there. So he's taken his time figuring out what the best way about it is productive for us and for himself. And also now that the railings are down on the ground floor, we'll take advantage of that and do the touch-up paint that's needed on those railings with the hunter green and the white. And then that pretty much kind of just puts us at the end of my quick little slideshow. The clockwork, it is amazing. Not many people get to see it, but that is what Victoria winds twice a week. And it's just amazing. I do need to do some historical preservation of some of the information there, just so it's readable. And then of course our bell that's being displayed on the lawn. So pretty much that's just like the quick overview, and I am ready for questions. And we don't have to share the screen if we don't want to. It's fine. Or I can go back to some like certain pictures, say this one. This is kind of an important spot.
I'll start with a question.
Great.
We have some recollection of what the original estimate was. Do we know how things are shaping up cost-wise with the work that's underway and perhaps with this additional $3,900?
Right. So that still working with Chris on that. I need him to send it in a hard paper, like a paper form, not a verbal. So I'm still waiting for that, and I will be glad to, as soon as I get that, send that to you in an email.
Oh, sure.
Hey, that, he seemed to, in the email thread, he said it looked like somebody had repaired that copper.
Yes.
Or who did the repair, do we know?
I've tried finding that out today. I had asked, actually had asked Alex to find out for me, because I really wanted to know the year that it was done and the cost. And so we're still kind of sifting through that.
Jolie, was that something Kevin did? Or
No,
Kevin
Kevin and I
did?
already did the top of the
It's-
railings,
Okay.
around the railings.
It is
Steve
like
said-
10 years ago? That's what I'm
Who was
thinking. And it was like,
Mayor,
there was a young
Mayor.
woman and a man that were up on the roof.
They did the fire station the same time.
Yeah.
because we had a bunch of slate missing off
And
the
they
fire
did
station.
And they did
But I don't
library.
remember their
And then
name.
many years ago, what was that fellow's name? Steve? I don't want to, his last name began with an M. Can't remember.
Okay. All right.
But it wasn't when the bell tower was originally
Originally.
coppered. It's been since then.
Yeah.
It's been in the last 10, 15 years.
Okay.
Yeah, so I do want to still kind of dig deep in some of the files to find out exactly the date and the cost, just so we can just have an understanding of what this looks like after a certain amount of time, and what, how caulking, it just pretty much just hardens up after a while and starts to crack and fails.
There must be something different that they're using now. That looks like tar or silicone or something of that nature. They must be using something different now, I would imagine.
I hope, yeah. So, and that'll be, there's material that's always being, updated. So yes, but this, for showing you guys this, it definitely has a cobbed feel to it. And actually you can, that picture that I showed you of the hole in the ceiling, or ceiling in the wall, so that is where the copper is. Do you guys understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The picture in the upper right hand corner, that little tiny sunlight, that's where the copper is.
On the south wall.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Meredith, that middle center picture with the 2x2 or whatever tile all
Yep.
stained all in, did we appropriate any money to do at least somewhat of a fix up of that ceiling inside I call it the second floor of the belt, where the mechanism is?
Yeah,
Or-
so that was not included on that because we really wanted, so that's an old leak, for one. The other thing is that we really want to concentrate on the leaking for right now, money-wise. Let's fix the problem, and then we can attack the cleaning up process.
I guess my thought was if you tore down the ceiling and you looked up to the bell tower floor, I'll call it, you may see more problems, more rock from the bottom.
If I can jump in, we had the structural engineer look at all of that area. And in that process, a lot of those soggy panels and gungy panels were taken down and revealed the strapping on the ceiling.
Okay,
Which at that time, and you may recall seeing photos of that from her presentation. And she also suggested that in a way it was a good thing because it demonstrated some good air circulation. So she did not detect any mold in those areas that she studied.
So in the email that came from the contractor, I noticed that they talked about, getting on a regular sort of maintenance program for the roof. Did they suggest what that might look like? Is it like a section at a time, or, I mean, you're talking about
An annual
yeah,
visit or?
yeah. Did they give any hint, Meredith?
Yeah, so when I talked to Chris about that, and I really like thinking that way, and it would be, so we take a look, we've done 200 pieces of slate now, and there's probably another, do it in sections. So next year we take the west side and make sure all those slates are good. And then the next year we just work our way around the building. The other thing is that some of the wood that's holding the windows in is kind of brittle and dried out. So Chris and I will come up with a plan and just kind of a preventive maintenance and try to make it so it's realistic.
Every year there's a grant program through the Division for Historic Preservation, state of Vermont, a 50% grant for historic preservation projects on historic buildings. And often they're focused on repair, like window replacements or things like the front steps, to repair the front steps and the porch. And certainly the roof repair and maintenance, I think, would qualify for a grant. So I think we should plan to attack that with grant funding if we possibly can.
Agreed.
Meredith, the rot after they took the railings down, was that part of their estimate or not? Because I know when we saw the engineer's report, she talked about rot, but.
Yeah, so this is really part of the flooring of the bell tower. So this is the area, because we took the flashing off, and then I don't have a great picture, but maybe the one that's on the corner left kind of gives you an idea that the flashing was literally just kind of put up against the post, and some water did get back through there. And you can see that the top left is where the flashing didn't work and the water came down behind it. So, I mean, we had an idea when we were up there that this would be what we would be looking at.
Do you have any idea how he would go about repairing that or fixing it?
Well, we are going to have a chat this week about it, because this is, I mean, he just pulled it up today. So he's going through the process of the materials and the extent of what needs to be done so it's done well. So, I mean, I wouldn't mind being on the next select board meeting, and I'll try to make another presentation from this with more updates, because I know photos, it tells 1,000 words or something, but I think this is the best way to keep you all involved and knowledgeable of what's going on with the Holly Hall.
Meredith, if I remember right from my days up there in 83 or 85, that four corner post, those are spruce or hemlock, or maybe, I don't think they were pine boards. They were wrapped around an 8x8 hemlock beam inside those. That makes the structure of the building, makes the structure of the tower.
Yeah, so you're saying like that's just a facing.
Right. Was there any thought of cutting those up 4 or 5 feet, 4 feet? And did Chris talk about that? Getting up above that, and maybe put a camphor in that where the flashing can kind of like set in there.
No, but this is great. I'm writing it down so I can ask him tomorrow. So just to recap what you're saying, Joel. So that's a facing, and if we see what's underneath the facing, whatever.
Hemlock being beams underneath those 4 boards that are nailed together.
Yeah, and then just see what's behind there, and if that's structurally sound, which is the main structure, and then cut it maybe at the 3 feet, did you say? Up at the 3 feet level?
Maybe get above the railing so we won't get any water back in on the joint.
Okay.
And then he could probably, around where the step flashing is,
Mhm.
probably make a joint in there of 1/4 of an inch and put his lead coated copper step, like you're doing a chimney, like a step flashing.
Yep.
Could figure it out, I know he can.
Yeah.
But I know those aren't the original, those are the original beams, but those boards are wrapped around the original beams.
Yep.
What you're seeing that rod is not the beam.
And that is correct. When you look in there, I mean, you can see that there's some water damage, but you're right, that is a facing. So, but I'll bring that up to him tomorrow and see what he says about bringing it up.
Yeah.
So do you need, Meredith, do you need approval from us this evening regarding the additional amount, or will it just, work will continue and on it, or as it has been?
No, I think we need to make the decision as to whether we're gonna do the repairs, and I think that part of it, that's a no-brainer. We do have to additional cost.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
what the cost actually is.
Well, did I see $3,900?
Yeah, but I don't think
Yeah.
he's 100%.
I think
That's
that's
right. So that I want to get that, but that's, you know, the ballpark area. If we could somehow,
You want to do an up to?
well, so the lift, if we could talk to a sergeant and see if maybe there could be some kind of break in that rental of the lift. I'm not sure. But I mean, it would be nice to do it right while we have the lift and have everything up there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want it going away and have to pay it back.
Yeah, we gotta do it right, fix it, do it right. I'd make a motion I won't say not to exceed, but up to $5,000 as of now. Get these repairs done, and I think the lift, as you said, Meredith, if you rent it for 3 weeks, you keep it for a month, it's the same cost, and probably 2 months is worth, not twice as much as a month, but 1 1/3 probably.
Val,
So
do we
Jill,
have money in capital funds?
Say that again?
We have money in the capital building fund?
The capital building fund, as I understand it, the last time we looked, is pretty healthy.
So we do have a motion on the floor. If we get a second, then we can further the discussion.
Second.
All right, go ahead.
Joel, do you want to do it specific to copper repair, since that's what it was targeting in terms of that additional?
I agree with Steve, if it wants to replace it with copper, that's the best of the best.
Well, but in terms of your motion for the up to 5,000, because this was sort of additional that we didn't know on top of his original estimate. Do you want to make your motion for 5 to be specific for copper repair versus the entire project? Because there might be more that he goes over, or other stuff he finds for other areas that we don't know about yet.
Bring it back to us, I guess.
Yeah, so this is just for that.
Yeah.
It's just 5,000 for that repair that we're talking about.
Okay, all right, that's fine.
And I don't have the exact motion in front of me from the prior discussions, but I believe when this was originally authorized, it was known that there were going to be some surprises. And I believe the select board's motion at that time authorized myself and Meredith, basically department heads, to evaluate the additional costs and determine if they're reasonable to move forward.
Okay.
Because in some instances, there might not be time, depending on the nature of the repair, to come back to the select board for approval. So I just want to put that out there.
Yeah, that's fine with me.
That's still on the original.
Right.
Yeah, that was on the original.
Still on the original, so you still have the ability to do that should
Right.
something arise.
Yeah.
Yeah, if it's time sensitive.
Right. Like the
It's just a matter of
slate.
form, that's all.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like we're not gonna fix the building.
So when would we, the maintenance issue, do we put that into place at this time? Do we wait till these repairs are done and then say annually we want to have him back in each spring?
Well,
or
I think
something
he's
like that?
supposed to put something together for us for
Put
maintenance, is what
something,
Meredith
yeah.
said. We can't decide on that until we know what that means and what.
Right,
the
no,
cost
I
is.
understand. I just didn't want it to,
Well, the other
Yeah.
thing is,
Get missed.
we get a number, we get a figure, and then we can put it in the budget.
right.
So that it's here.
Yeah, I just didn't want us to make this motion and then not come back to that piece of it, that's all.
Yeah, I think when my suggestion would be when he has completed all the repairs that are within the scope of this project, that we invite him back to give a presentation and maybe a recommendation going forward for yearly maintenance.
I like that.
Yep.
And I mean, hopefully he'll have a good idea in terms of what the slate is looking like on all sides of the roof, and also as he takes apart part of the building, he might come across other things that maybe don't need to be addressed right now, but he might recommend, you know, a 1 year, 2 year, 3 year kind of plan, or we could ask him to maybe look at it that way.
And also keep in mind, so slate costs differently. So black slate is cheaper than the red slate. And at some point we will have to do some red slate in those particular areas where some of those windows are. So what I'll do with Chris is we'll work together and come up with a plan to present to you for the preventive maintenance.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Meredith, maybe, I mean, Chris is probably already thinking this in his head, you know, one of the last days he's got the lift, before he's got it and he's all done, he could drive it around to the west side and kind of take a real good look with the lift and say, boy, roughly they've got 15 or 45 or 105 pieces of slate here. So kind of give you an idea and him an idea what the cost per year will be for every few years to do a piece of, or some of the slate on that side.
Great, that's great.
All right, any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
And I don't think I'm needed anymore, so I'm just gonna head out.
Meredith, do you need a spot to paint those railings? Are you doing that or is Steve doing that?
I'd like to do them. I have drop cloths and such, and I was thinking of just behind the Holly Hall where the recycling is, making a little shop right there.
Take my shop if you wanted next week and put them in there.
Oh, okay.
Put me up tomorrow, but put me up by Thursday because I'm leaving town Friday.
That's that other duties as assigned, right?
Yeah.
Am I
What's
still?
going on? You're upside down.
Yeah, and I'm just sorry. I'm just trying to figure out. I'm not sharing my screen anymore.
No, I stopped that.
You're good.
Good.
You're good.
All right. Well, thank you guys.
Meredith.
Thank you.
Thank
It was
you,
great to see it as a
Nice job.
Meredith. It was great to see it as a presentation. That was excellent. Thank you.
Mhm.
You're
Okay.
welcome. All right. Enjoy your evening.
You too.
Continued consideration of possible adoption of amended Bristol water use ordinance.
If I could just jump in here, I know that there's at least one person online here who's interested in item 6, the curb cut application. I wonder if folks would consider rearranging the agenda items to move that one up.
I don't mean.
Fine with me.
Fine with me.
All right, so number 6, curb cut application for Chris Acker on Hewitt Road for new commercial access.
So he's got 2 driveways. Are they 2 for the same lot or are they 1 for each? I think he's got 2 lots.
Two on the same lot.
So is he gonna have like a U?
Yes, and I'm gonna try to share my screen. Let's see if this works.
There you go.
So the shop is proposed to be here, and there's an access here and an access here. And this plan down here shows a little bit more context of location. So Hewitt Road, some of the adjoining properties. And
Oh, yeah.
this is a, let's see here.
I think he's planning.
And it's currently going through a subdivision process right now. In fact,
Yep.
it's on the DRB agenda for tomorrow evening.
Yep.
For subdivision review and conditional use review for this commercial project.
Okay, so he owns both those lots.
That's what it looks
Correct.
like.
Proposed lot two, right now it's one.
One, okay.
And he wants his,
The 9-acre one.
looking at the drawing.
There's
he's
3 lots
looking-
there.
Yeah. Do you
There's
want to see
actually 3 lots there. There's a 4 lot, a 2 lot, and
Yeah.
a 9-acre lot.
And Eric is there and he can speak to this, but he did recommend that if it did get approved, that 40-foot culverts be installed and that trees be trimmed, or low branches of trees be trimmed to improve sight distance. The recommendation includes minimum depths and compaction.
Is this for him?
The question, one of the questions I have is reading through Eric's, it looked like it was backwards. It asked for 8 to 12 inches over black poly culvert and 12 to 18 over gray. And I think you want that the other way around, don't you?
The lesser amount can be on the gray, the more amount needs to be on the black. So
Okay,
yes,
yeah, so I had them backwards.
I might have screwed up, put them backwards.
What's the difference between the
The gray
Right.
plastic is stronger,
stronger? Okay.
Yeah.
and that's all we use right now. We've gone away from the black and we strictly use gray.
So Eric, when you do these conditions and they issue the driveway permit, do you go and check to make sure they do it right? Or do you just,
Absolutely,
yeah.
yes.
Okay.
Yes, I do.
Did you say the black was stronger?
Oh, the gray.
Gray is reinforced.
Valerie, what's the site, or not the site distance, what's the distance between the 2 driveways?
I think it's on here, Joel. Yes, so it's
140,
is it 410?
110 feet?
Plus or minus?
Okay, that's nice. Eric, and those site distances, cut branches have got to be, of course, they'd be coming out of there with a dump truck and equipment, so.
Yeah, so they got to be up on, yes. They don't need to cut the trees. The trees are back far enough away from the road. They just need to cut the low branches so they can see under them.
It says 410 feet of.
Yeah, I see that. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
Take it that's a green buffer in front.
Yeah.
Yeah, and trees. And screening.
It's my understanding that he would apply for the work in the right-of-way permit if all of these things get approved and the subdivision gets approved.
Bridget, you obviously have.
And the $50 application fee did get submitted today.
You have concerns, you want
I didn't know where it was going to be, so that gives me really good information. So I'm pretty much doing the best I can to just get more information, and by being here now and being here tomorrow night, that'll help me understand what's happening.
So I guess, well, that'll be tomorrow night's question. I guess I'll ask if I get on this. I was told that this is going to be his maintenance shop plus for his son's rubbish removal. And I was just wondering if there's maybe tomorrow night's question, Bridget, if I don't ask it, if I'm not on, is will dumpsters be stored there and loaded packers with garbage be stored there over the weekends?
Yeah, I have a fairly good list of questions. I didn't know anything about rubbish removal. I didn't see any of that in the documents I have here.
Yeah, I don't know if this is for his son's shop or if it's for him. He wants to get off Mountain Road because he's on a back road.
Right.
So I assumed it was him, but I didn't. Wade is also doing rubbish removal,
Right.
and that may be if I don't know what he's looking to build. I have
That was
no
my
idea.
question.
I guess we'll watch tomorrow night.
Yeah.
And I'm under the impression that's where we get information tomorrow. That isn't
Correct.
that is secret, right? That you get to share what you're going to actually do, what your intentions are, right?
Yeah, all we're doing tonight is granting access to the road.
Granting out to the driveway.
Just didn't want it to be right now. I mean, you get to do what you can do, right? But I just was curious how close it was going to be to me.
Well, there's 2 lots in between, I believe there's 2 lots in between
Right,
you.
between you and that one.
Yeah, that's what I was just.
I think it has to be on that one. Ian, correct me if I'm wrong here, because this is the last one that's in the commercial district. The next 2 going towards Ubridge are in the residential district.
I didn't know it was broken up like that. That's new information too.
I believe that's.
I'm not sure. Yeah.
I'm not sure if that second lot is also, might also be commercial too. I'm not sure, because we were talking about that.
Yeah.
So,
Well, right now, if it's 1 lot,
right.
it's all commercial, so.
Okay.
Steve, do you have any questions or concerns? You're on mute, Steve. There we go.
Okay.
There you go.
This is the first I've heard about the rubbish business. When we met last month, Chris was saying that he's going to put a yard in there, and he made it sound like it was for some of his excavating equipment. I spoke to him subsequent to that, and he said that he's on a dirt road and he wants to get on a paved road. I did ask him about the reason for the 9-acre lots, and I came to find out that there's something called Act 250 that
Right.
provides for a lot heavier regulation and or at least different guidelines to operate a business in a 10-acre lot or more. That kind of makes me feel like with 2 9-acre lots there, a lot can happen. And I'm right down the road. We're right next to Bridget. So is it acceptable? I think in what are we, Village Mix? Is that what Lot 1 is zoned for, Village Mix, or is that zoned as something other than that? I'm not really sure what the zoning is for the 3 proposed.
Yeah, Chris. I mean, so for tomorrow's meeting, that'll be the real information meeting about this. And I don't worry about the in terms of the 9-acre versus 10 and the Act 250. Act 250 does have protections, and it is handled differently. The town was recently rezoned, and the rules here changed, but that's why we have the development review board. And so essentially there's actually more oversight now than there was previously.
I see.
Everything would have to go through Act 250 regarding the 1-acre plot. Now we have the 10 acres, so it's changed a little bit. But because we have the board that specifically looks at development, where we didn't have that before, it was the zoning board of adjustment. But we have a more detailed board that looks at this. So that's where tomorrow's meeting will answer a lot of those questions. And you're free, obviously, it's a public meeting. Go and ask as many questions as you want to that board and to the people proposing this.
Also, I add that the permit applications are at the town office and should be available for public review if folks are inclined to make the time to try to arrange to see the file and see what the details are that are proposed before the meeting. So
and usually we can put that stuff online if it's not already. I know that Chris Purley, the zoning administrator, sent those out today. So
I did try to get some of that information a week or so ago, but all I was able to get was essentially the map that we're looking at now. So that's why some of it is still a surprise to both me and Bridget, both, I expect. But I'm just glad to hear that there's still some open discussion available on it all, and I'd like to resolve it in the best way for everybody if possible. So I'll be sure to tune in tomorrow night. That's for certain.
Great.
Thanks. I appreciate it. They're in-person meetings as well as via Zoom. And I just posted the details today to the town Facebook page, and it'll be on Front Porch Forum. Actually, it was on Front Porch Forum today with login details. Yeah, I did see that there. I'm glad that it's great to keep everybody informed. That's for
Good.
certain. Thanks. I appreciate it, Ian.
Good. Thanks, Steve.
So I'd entertain a motion on the curb cut if someone's so inclined.
I'll make a motion, we allow the curb cut pending approval from the DRB tomorrow night. So if the DRB doesn't do it, he doesn't get a curb cut for the business.
He's not allowed to get a curb cut even if he,
I'm not trying to tie his hands, but just, well, what if they say, no, it can't be built there?
if they say no, it can't be built there, he's still allowed to have access to
Access
the
to
property.
property.
Right. Yeah, I don't know if we can specify that.
But we may rethink that though to be two, because that's what I'm saying. Let's say he goes to a housing development and they turn him down tomorrow night and they go to a housing development. Is this board going to approve 2 lots, 2 curb cuts? That's what I'm trying, where I'm getting at. Just pending his business approval tomorrow night, DRB, 2 lots. I approve a curb cut for a single, no matter what. He's got to get to his lots. I agree. But if it doesn't pass tomorrow night at DRB and they say, no, it's too close to a residential or whatever, then I think, is this board going to rethink about 2 curb cuts?
Well, the application states that it's for an office or a shop, so he'd have to put in a whole new application, correct? If he was changing the use?
Correct.
So okay, and I'll approve that we allow the curb cuts. I'll just leave it at that.
Per the Public Works Foreman's recommendations, as correct.
So
as
I have a,
clarified.
As adjusted.
I'll second Joel's motion, and I have a question.
Okay.
So at tomorrow's meeting, could the decisions of the curb cut and where he put those, could those change? And then he would submit a new application to us? Or is that pretty much set? That's where he wants to do it, or discussion tomorrow could change that. That's why, like, do we want to hold off with this and because the meeting's happening tomorrow and wait until 2 weeks from now? Or do you, Val, I'm asking Val specifically.
That's a good question. It's a chicken or the egg kind of.
Right, exactly.
If they changed it and wanted to move him, he'd have to reapply.
Yeah.
I would agree with that. Yeah.
He can't just move them somewhere else on the property and put them in. I mean, we went with this with Fred Schroeder just down the road. Fred kept sliding his, and every time he moved it, he had to come back.
Okay. Okay, that's fine. So yeah, so if
Necessarily
in the meeting tomorrow, then he would just reapply, and we would go through this process again.
we can hold it off till our next meeting. It's not like he's going to need access. He's not going to be able to build in the next 2 weeks.
Yeah, but he might put the driveways in.
Yeah, I suppose that's a possibility. Yeah.
I guess that's why I made the motion pending. We'll grant permission for 2 curb cuts pending his business application for a shop.
Yeah, but we don't ever make it conditional upon.
No, I think that gets into a gray area. Yeah, I mean, I think we could push it off, but then it might affect if he'd like to put those in and he has to wait another 2 weeks, or he's got things lined up hoping that it's going to be approved tonight and he has to punt it. You know, that seems unfortunate.
Well, the application has been submitted. If I understand it correctly, the fee hasn't been paid.
No, she said you
Oh,
got.
that's true.
No, it got
Today?
Okay. Okay. Well, I'm fine with Joel's motion and seconding it, and then we'll obviously see what happens at tomorrow night's meeting.
Now, is Joel's motion still referencing pending DRB approval?
Right.
Like, well, yes or no?
No, it doesn't.
Okay.
You got that, Tasha?
Yep.
How come
And per the Public Works Foreman's recommendations.
not getting Joel?
Yep.
Sometimes it does.
Okay.
Too many people talk.
Do we want to make sure with Eric's thing that he pointed out that those 2 things need to be reversed?
Right.
Okay.
Further questions? Here, go ahead, Bridget.
No, I was just going to say, thanks. I'm out.
All right.
Thank you.
Tasha, can you read back the motion?
Hang on. Joel Bouvier moved to approve curb cut pending approval. We're sorry. I did not delete that. Move to approve curb cut per the Public Works foreman recommendations.
Should I say curb cuts or cut? She said curb cut.
Or curb cut application, excess.
Curb cut application, you said the word application.
It's only.
Okay, Tasha, thanks.
What's that?
It's only one application.
One application.
Two
Yeah.
driveways.
Yeah, right.
So is it only 1 fee? Or do you have a fee for each?
One application, right?
One application.
I mean, to me, technically, it should be
Two.
a fee per access.
That depends on how is it written?
I don't know.
Anyway, any further discussion?
I could put 10 driveways in then on one curb cut application,
If it's on your application.
All right, we're getting into the weeds here. We're getting into the weeds. Come on.
Further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Great. All right. Thanks, Bridget. Thanks, Steve.
And I,
Thanks, I appreciate it, folks. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
More than welcome to stay. It's riveting stuff.
I've never seen government work before, and I'm okay with it. I like it. I might like to do more in the future, I think.
Good.
It's really, I don't understand parliamentary procedure or anything at this point, so I'm new, but I like it. I think it's, I like to be part of it in the future.
Got to start somewhere.
Good. That's right.
Thanks a lot, folks. Have a
All
good
right.
night.
Yep. Good evening.
Continued consideration. Possible adoption of amendments to Bristol's water use ordinance.
I'm gonna go back up. I was going for it.
Hopefully folks had a chance to glance at the draft that was posted. I believe it incorporates the comments and suggestions from the previous meeting, and those are highlighted in yellow. And the previous stuff is just shown as additions or deletions. I was still hung up though on this whole water supply emergency stuff when it occurred to me that in order to move this forward, we might not need to really sort that out or spend a lot of time on that at this point. And let me
Is that you're talking about 3.06?
Yeah. Well, sort of. This is the, they refer, a lot of this parts in the ordinance refer to this appendix, appendix B, I think it's called. Where is it called? Anyway, the emergency regulations. And this part is what has hung me up. But it occurs to me that if we change the word shall to may, that would, I think, provide the flexibility to respond to whatever we understand to be a water supply emergency at the time, even though it's still not defined really yet. At least if it's not a shall, we can be a may.
Okay. I'm fine with that.
Be my recommendation in the short term to just kind of tackle that question.
And the shells further on stay.
Yeah, I mean, if a duly warned meeting is held, then such rules shall be adopted by a majority vote and shall be recorded in the minutes and shall become effective immediately upon adoption. So I think those are fine, but it's this shall that is troublesome because
This shall go.
it shall become a may.
Okay.
That's my recommendation for the short term.
Okay.
so Val, do you want me to start in with my questions and comments?
Sure, yeah.
Okay, section 4.05, your highlight on letter F. And I think it's page 4. And I think you have several page 11s, so you have to fix your.
Oh, yeah. Look at that. Look at all those pages 11s. Wow, look
I
at
was
that.
like,
It's a long,
how
it's just
do
a
I go
long
from 4
page.
to 11? Just put in repair versus the first line says immediate pair. I think it's supposed to be repair.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Good catch. Spell check obviously didn't catch it.
Well,
Well, it's spelled right.
spelled right, yeah.
Yes, it is spelled.
Doesn't say what you mean.
Okay, and
Right.
section 407, it talks about they need to be contacted within 48 hours. Well, what's the what if? What if they don't? Are we gonna have a fine? Which then will get me into the discussion about our waivers and fines later on. We say some of this stuff, but then it's like, okay, so what if they don't?
What's the action?
What's the result? What's the consequence?
Well, in one,
Don't-
it talks about well, at least the application process, maybe not, maybe the notice period too can be waived if it's a real emergency. But then, so going down to
Page 11.
11, the fifth 11. Where is it? Penalties.
What number?
May be pursued. Look at all those 11s. Gosh.
1201 or 12.01?
That's 12.01. On page 11, 12.01 on page 11. So,
It goes on to the next page 11.
yeah, so here's my thought on this piece, and this is kind of went back to that. It's like, we want this to hurt. I mean,
Yes.
I don't think 50, 100, 150, 250 is enough.
Mm-hmm.
What do you want to start on?
The statute says that the top fine, the max fine is $800. So I say our fines are 5, 6, 7, 8, and then our waivers are half of whatever that is. I mean, so the first offense is going to be $250.
So 250 there.
Yeah. And then you get 300, what is it? 300, 350, 400. And then below is the civil penalties are the actual fines itself. Then it would be 5, 6, 7, 8. And I also think that offenses shall be counted on a calendar year basis needs to be deleted.
Oh, I thought I had deleted.
That, so that needs to be, that needs
Yeah,
to
that
go.
was gone.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's got to be gone. Huh.
Yeah.
Well, I know that in one version I did delete it, so I'm wondering, if something else. Well, we'll see if something else.
Yeah, and I can't remember, Val, we had talked about finding both the contractor and the homeowner. So, and I don't know if I remember seeing that in there, but I know we had that discussion about making sure that we could find both the homeowner and the contractor.
That does not sound familiar to me.
You guys don't remember that discussion? Because I said,
We did talk about
if you find the homeowner,
What's
the
this stuff?
contractor's got no skin in the game, so they can go from house to house to house and continue to make offenses and never get fined.
So are we finding the
Well,
person
who
who
does
does
it
the
say,
violation?
who does it say we're finding there? Because who's getting the permit?
It's gonna be the homeowner.
Not necessarily. Because if you hire me to do the site work,
Yeah, but it's gotta be in the homeowner's name. You may apply for it, but it's gonna be in the homeowner's name.
yeah.
I see Michelle's point, I really do.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
Yeah, well, what if we put yeah, I'm just trying to think of a way to word it that would allow you to,
I don't, I would want to look into that question, whether, what authority the town would have to do that. I just don't know. With the property owner, it's pretty straightforward.
Right, but like I said, contractor, if he doesn't have any skin in the game.
so can we,
To know, though?
can we list the contractor as an offender? So that the next time somebody applies and that's their contractor, we can say, last time around,
he was on the offended list. He's on the.
So I think one could probably argue that the contractor could argue that he was just following instructions.
Well, then he can charge the homeowner.
But the contractor should know I mean, the whole point of this is to get contractors to understand our ordinance and follow our rules.
What
It's
if
not-
I'm just thinking out loud, what if a property owner hires a contractor from the Northeast Kingdom because they've been good buddies forever, and the person from the Northeast Kingdom?
Happens, no, that's legitimate. I mean, it could be anybody from out of town, but when they apply for, well, I'm thinking new, and this is repairs, or this is
Well,
anything.
this is anything, right?
I guess our main problem is with new stuff. Well, no, it's not, because we have,
They fix
be
service
renovations.
lines all the
yeah,
time.
yeah.
I guess back to your Northeast Kingdom theory, Valerie, is, that contractor comes down and does something for his buddy and he doesn't follow the rules, but the buddy knew, the person at somebody Munsell Avenue comes down and does something, or my street and does something, and they know the rules, the homeowner does. How are we ever going to get blood out of a stone? That contractor goes back to the Northeast Kingdom. We're never going to get that money, but we're going to get it from the homeowner because we're not turning their water on.
Right, yeah, I guess the issue I have is, thinking of myself, if I was hiring somebody like Peaker to come in and do the work, I don't know. I don't know that information. I'm relying on the contractor to know that.
Mm-hmm.
So to find the homeowner feels, well, they're on the hook.
But we say that whoever works on any part of the water system has to notify the operator.
Right.
So chances are, if you need work done on your water system, the operator is the one that's going to tell you that you need that work.
Speaker,
Yes.
why couldn't you have a list of approved contractors? And they're the only ones that dig for the water. Then them contractors would know the rules, they know the penalties.
Because then somebody will get pissy because one of their contractors isn't on that approved list.
Yeah, so.
I guess I would go, maybe turn that just a hair, Eric, and say, if you do something illegal, as in don't follow, and you're in violation, the homeowner is charged and you're no longer allowed to.
Right. Well, okay.
We'll give you first bite at it, but then if you screw up, you don't dig in our system again.
Right.
But we have 1, 2, and 3, and 4 chances.
The reason I was suggesting that, and it's just a suggestion, is when that water line was put in up on Devonall Lane by the homeowner contractor,
Mm-hmm.
he didn't follow the rules there at all.
Mm-hmm.
And the patch settled and he had to redo it and all that. If you have approved contractors that follow the rules, that know our rules, you won't have that situation.
So, and if they want to work on it, then what? Do we have an application system for them to be approved?
Yeah, that's what I would do. And if it doesn't work and they do a crappy job, you may give them a warning, give them one more shot, and then,
No warning, they get fined.
or, yeah.
There ain't no warning.
I have also a question, Valerie, under the first offense, it's, I think it's $100 there.
Mhm.
So let's take the issue we had up on here, the cottages up by North Street here. The 5 cottages that are going in and the second one's being built now. The curb stops are all in, the contractor, if he goes and hooks up to them,
You can't now.
Not supposed to.
well, this isn't passed yet, so if he hooks up to them and doesn't let us know, when does the violation start? When we don't go and turn the water on?
We got to put a meter and everything in, so they can't get water without us knowing about it.
Right, but he went and did the thing and he said, oh, it's already hooked up. Here's the copper pipe or the plastic pipe coming into the basement where he put the meter in. We're gonna have to dig those up if you didn't put a tracer wire in or we didn't see it, correct? Under the new rules.
Under the new rules, yes.
Under the new rules. So if he says, well, we're not gonna have water here for another month, 30 days, 10 days, then when does the violation start? When we go put the meter in or when we turn the water on?
The violation is a violation. It's not a daily.
Well, it does say
Yeah,
daily.
it's
It says
daily.
violation will be associated with it every day. So $100 first day, second day, third day. That's what I'm trying to get at. Is if he asks.
The
like
minute
10
we issue the violation, it starts then. So whenever we figure out when the violation is, and that's been issued, that's the start of the violation.
Because there's, I believe the first 3 towards the north, we've already got plastic lines run to somewhere towards where the house sites are.
So Val, can we figure out that thing, contractor, homeowner? And if I get a chance, I can ask Kevin, you know, because I think I'll ask him about whether we can do that and how we word that in there.
Okay.
The other thing I wanted to say is I almost have to go with Jolie on this and require copper. I mean, copper doesn't, I mean, it will break if you like drop something on it, bend or whatever, but plastic can freeze enough times that it cracks.
Well, my point has been all along, we're letting the homeowner,
Decide.
no, not decide, go a cheaper route on our expense. It's our water, it's going to be leaking, and they're never going to pay for it because it didn't go through the meter until it got to the cellar. That's my point. Plastic could leak for a couple hundred feet, could leak. And I agree with, I know what you're saying, when plastic leaks, you don't get any pressure.
Typically,
So-
it's catastrophic with plastic.
Yeah,
Go ahead, Ian.
but they're not getting charged for it though, because.
Yeah, but if they don't get any water, they're gonna have to do something about it. Ian, go ahead.
So Michelle, for years, instead of saying, because we've got the copper in there, instead of saying is preferred, you changed the 2 instances to required.
And don't give them the option for the plastic.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Well, how do we deal with it if do we address it again when if we get another federal grant where we can't dictate?
Well, yeah, I say if it's the federal grant, then we're on the hook with them. That's not a homeowner issue, that's.
If West Street is plastic, I realize for Maple Airport Drive is plastic now, 8-inch or 10-inch, whatever.
And all the services are plastic.
But if that would have been just the line plastic and the service has been copper, our dime, if that ever leaks, that 10-inch main blows, that 8-inch main.
Right, but see, if the service lines were put in not under the federal grant, they weren't part of the federal grant, they would have been the homeowner.
From the
From the
curb,
main to the.
from the curb stop to the house, not from the main to the curb stop. They're all plastic as well.
Not that we're happy about it, but we didn't have a choice.
Yeah, right.
Right.
And I go ahead, Ian.
I was going to say, just in terms of the preferred contractor or the whatever we want to call it, my worry would be that we're making it too restrictive. You might have contractors who don't want to sign up and say that they're a preferred contractor, and then we're losing people who might want to install in our area. That would be my concern.
We may not have to worry about that. If we can I'll talk with between Val and I, talking with Kevin and whoever, figure out a way to be able to find the contractor and homeowner or whatever, then, we may be able to be beyond that.
Are we on board with changing the fines to what Michelle said?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, good. I just wanted to make sure because I never got clarification on that. She suggested it and we moved on. All right.
So
I think so. I mean,
just to clarify, if these are made to be, what did I have here?
Starting at 250.
300, 350, and then 400, then these get doubled then?
Correct.
For those?
5. Yes.
Correct.
Yeah. First offense would start at 500.
Got it.
Right.
Okay.
So, and you'll delete the offenses shall be counted on a calendar year basis.
Yeah,
Okay.
I thought I had already, but yes, definitely.
I mean, yeah, the idea of a violation is that you're annoyed that you've got a violation and you have to pay a large amount of money because you did something wrong. I mean, I think as Michelle's right. I think you want to discourage people from doing it by themselves and not following our rules. And if you follow our rules, you don't have to worry about the very large fine. But if you don't, then you have a very large fine.
Just to verify,
water
you
budget
said
gets a little boost.
500 and then double, right?
Yeah. So it's
Waivers start at 250 and go up to 400 for the fourth offense. And then the fines start at 500 and go to 800.
5, 6, 7, 8.
Yeah.
And then the others are half of that.
Appreciate it. Okay.
That's right. So Val, the only other thing I had was on your appendix A, number
Wait,
3.
whoa, let's do, she wants clarification here first.
Right, going back to the materials and the copper, because if here it says the K copper is preferred. And then I wonder if plastic piping may be permissible upon approval by the Water Commission.
Sure.
I wonder if that's an option.
Yeah, because that might cover our federal projects.
Yep.
And then if it's just a short run, we say, no, it has to be copper. There's no, yeah.
So are we keeping type K copper is preferred, or are we changing that to required?
Changing that to required, right?
If we change it to required,
Then you can't put may be permissible.
Right.
Okay.
How about where, where there is plastic, you're calling it, Peter, that 8H1 going down West Street?
yeah, it's yeah.
Whatever the term is, if it's plastic service lines may be permissible to a plastic main line.
But we're not, that has
Nothing.
absolutely nothing to do with the homeowner. We're looking at from the curb stop to the house here is what this is for.
Okay. Copper then, if I'm going to say copper.
I mean, I suppose we pull it out and we just deal with it. We deal with it if we get another federal grant and we have to allow it, then we deal with it then.
Well, we only have to allow it for the main line. We don't have to allow it for the service line.
Correct.
For this, right.
If federal is paying for the whole thing, well, you're right, paying to the.
It's paying to the curb stop. And then the homeowner would be responsible for the curb stop to the house.
But if it's plastic from the main to the curb stop, I mean, I'm not trying to split straws, but if it's plastic for one section, why?
I hear you.
Why are you telling me you can use plastic, but I can't?
No, we're not telling you that. We're telling you,
Basically,
we're
government
being required to do that. Not saying we want to do that.
We can.
Well, so hang on. With regard to the type K copper, what do we want for service lines? Do we want copper only, or are we open to plastic and copper? Because that's the discussion, right?
Yes.
Well, that's why I said if it came off, like a new house goes down on West Street here, and you come off the plastic 8-inch main, then we would allow plastic to plastic, but we will not allow plastic to ductile iron, which are old, like on Pine Street, it's all ductile iron. We wouldn't allow a new house down there to go plastic to ductile iron, we require copper. That's what I'm
Okay,
saying.
so can we put that in here instead of like the K copper is required? Do we do something what Joel's just suggested in terms of we allow plastic to plastic, but not plastic to ductile iron? Is that specific enough? And does that get us what we want in terms of people using copper when we want them to use copper?
I don't know that you want to get that specific. I think if we say, leave it the way it is, and say plastic piping may be permissible with approval, then when they come to us, we can talk about what's there, what we'll allow and what we won't allow.
Yeah, if it's a 500-foot line, copper is going to be, cost prohibitive. So.
Right, and we already stated above that copper is preferred, so they'll know that going in. It won't be a surprise.
Huh?
We ductile iron?
Yeah.
For the maintenance, okay.
Okay, so I come in and I've read this and it says it's preferred, but it doesn't say required. So I say, okay, I'm going to use plastic because it says plastic piping may be permissible. I come in and I talk to the Water Commission and what do they tell me? They tell me no, and they say I have to use copper. Okay.
You've only got a 50-foot run.
Okay.
It's not worth that would be my argument. It's 50 foot from the curb stop to your cellar. It's not cost prohibitive for you to put in. Well, I shouldn't say it because I don't know that, but no,
Yeah, no, I know.
So
I think I think that's fine then. It's preferred and then may be permissible. That should cover us. And then it goes this in terms of the ordinance, and then it's a discussion with the Water Commission to talk about what we'd like to see.
That sounds good.
Okay. I just want to know that we have protection in this, so it can't come back and say, well, look, I looked at the water ordinance and it said this. You know, it didn't say I had to use copper, but now you're telling me to use copper. Like, I just don't want someone coming back saying that.
Yeah. Now, back to Peter's question. So I'll take my brother's place off from Pine Street, Terry Thomas's old house, that great big one. There's 2 lines down there, 2 copper lines. One goes to his old place and one to Buzzy's. And there's 2 more lots for sale down there. And there, 300-400 feet away from the road. They come in and they want to put plastic in. I know his are copper. Middlebury requires a meter pit after 200 feet. They don't allow any line over 200 feet off their main. And then they require a meter pit because they don't want to go 1,000 feet out there and could be leaking. Do we want to go down that road, number one? Or I don't want to go, the longer it is, that line, let's say down to those 2 new lots going to be created. And they're plastic. What do we think of that?
See, I personally don't have any fears of the plastic. I just don't. And the way we've got it specified to put it in, I really don't see an issue with it.
You're talking about the sand on the bottom and the sand on the top? Yeah.
Yeah. I really, if it's installed that way, there's not going to be a problem with it. That's my personal opinion.
Well, you do it a lot. You've done it more than I've ever done. And I never installed only one line myself.
I'm not familiar with the difference in cost. I think the plastic is around 50 cents a foot, and I know the copper is up over $3. So you're really talking, you could really be talking a hardship for somebody that was a long ways away from the main.
Yeah.
That's where I bring up that point. If they're 500 feet away and they say,
the other side of that is, Joel, it would be nice to have, but then we've got meter pits in the right of way. It's something that they've got to be in the right of way so that we can access them. They're going to be where something can hit them, the plow can hit them, or the mower. I'm not a fan of Middlebury uses those big 5-foot steel meter pits. And
they go 200 feet of copper, and then they want to run a garden hose from that.
They don't
the next 1,000 feet down to a house. Go ahead, because you're paying only the meter, right?
Yeah.
And you can run.
No, it would be ideal to have the meter at the curb stop, but it's not practical. I don't think we want all those meter pits.
I don't think we're going to have that many, but I'm just saying, if we had a 500-foot run, do we want, you go in 200 feet, first 200 is going to be copper, and then you can do what you want after that.
That could also be that could be a Water Commission discussion too, and not necessarily in this ordinance.
This ordinance, you're right, Ian.
Right.
That's what we did with Woodlands Apartments. They got a meter pit out on Lover's Lane, and what is it, quarter mile to that last apartment?
But it's a totally different situation. It's their water system.
Right, they're not on town water down there.
Yeah.
Or they are.
Right,
They
they
are
are,
now. They are now.
They are. They're on town water now, but
Okay.
if we want a meter pit if we want a meter in every building.
What were the other ones you had, Michelle? Do you have anything else?
System. That's why we didn't do that. We tied into Reggie Blaze's system down on 116 and
We came off 20 feet, 10 feet.
put a meter pit.
Put a meter pit in. The rest of it's on him.
This topic, what do folks think about adding this Appendix C and just reserving it for when we get around to putting specific construction specifications?
Sure.
I think the idea of being able to adjust the construction specifications is a very good one.
Yeah.
Stuff changes all the time, and it may, maybe if we have access to that meter pit, that may be the thing. Anything over 100 feet or anything over 200 feet, it's copper to a meter pit, and then, like Joel says, it's yours from there on. The meter pit will be on your property. It'll be your problem, not the problem of the public works because it's sitting in the right of way. That's what I want to avoid. I don't want.
I get your point there. You know, I look at like that, I don't know what Buzzy's new road is called, something North Meadow Lane now, but there's gonna be 2 more housing over there. And I'm going, I wonder if they're gonna tap off your 2 1-inch meters. Or,
I mean, I think we could what if this
You
for
could,
the
yeah.
rest of the night.
Yeah.
I think secret's
let's get
great
this
about,
passed and
yeah, sending
We're
it.
not gonna get it
not
passed.
passed tonight, let's get it written up, Valerie, and
Say that-
So the Schedule C would be the construction.
Specifications. And just
Okay.
on it for the time being.
Yeah. Mhm. I mean, the only
Could
last,
9.03 read, meet most AWWA spec, and the town of water commission, the town of Bristol's water department's capability or what, wouldn't it, specifications? So we have not only AWWA, they throw the specifications to us like they did on West Street, said you can't deny plastic. But, because that could be supersede, 903 could supersede the one that says K-copper or preferred.
that is the one that says K-Power.
That's the same one. That's the
But
same.
if it says specification AWWA, says you can use plastic, can we even have that K-copper in there? I'd like to see it say AWWA and the town of Bristol's water department specifications. Our specifications in the water department may be even more tighter than AWWA. That's what I'm saying. You see what I'm saying, Valerie?
Mm-hmm. But so far, it's just this section that has detail. So would we be relying on a future Appendix C to have that more detailed Town of Bristol specification?
So you're saying that 903 would say see Schedule C?
Yeah.
And we wouldn't have this in here? This would all be part of Schedule C?
Not necessarily. I think we need to have it in here now because there is no Schedule C. And from what I understand, folks want to have more specificity in the construction standards, but we're not there yet.
Right.
I guess my last question for AWWA, West Street project 3 or 4 years ago, put in by Munson, met the AWWA specifications, correct?
Yes.
So how can we say that you preferred copper? That's why I'm saying AWA and or the town of Bristol's water department specifications. Ours will be more stringent.
You can't say and or, you have to say and. Because if
And.
you say or, then they can
Then they have an
choose.
option.
Okay,
So it's got to say
And.
and.
our water department specifications. That way, our specifications are K-copper. AWWA can say you can use plastic. That's where I'm getting at with that.
Can we?
Well, it does say, I mean, if you read it, it says and will be compatible with materials and equipment presently utilized in the water system.
Yeah, but you need to be specific
Right.
because people will poke holes in it. They're going to poke holes in it.
They're gonna poke holes in it anyway, yes.
I know, but we might as well try to avoid at least one of them.
I mean, we're talking about our water system, not AWWA's
So
water.
why don't we go back to eliminate that first line? Because we don't need that AWWA there.
Well, let's take it out.
So take it out.
Yeah,
And-
just
and
say it
just-
will be compatible with materials and equipment presently used in the water system. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
I'd like to say that, the water department.
You got that, Val?
Bristol Water Department.
I'm processing that. I'm looking at the top, the paragraph above that. Construction and the list of other things that are also applicable. And 902D is right there. The AWWA specifications are there.
We can take that out of there too.
Or maybe that's where it resides and we do take it out of 903.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't say they have to follow that specific one. It just says those are
Right.
things that we are looking at.
Right. Yeah.
Standards
I
applicable.
don't know if there's a reason why it needs to be referenced in there. But since it's already referenced in that paragraph above.
Right, we could eliminate it.
Does it?
Doesn't need to be.
Right.
And so 903 would just start off with type K, copper pipe is preferred, etc.
In parentheses, you know, have it in parentheses, all they ask for plastic.
See Joel about that.
We good with that one?
I like that. I think it gets us,
Mhm.
and then we're gonna add appendix C to that of
For construction.
Right. And that'll be another project.
okay.
Okay.
My one last change I had was on appendix A, Val, and it was just adding a she. You had, or his or her or something or other. I can't remember where it was, but let's see.
It's on page 11.
No, go back up. Back up.
Appendix A.
There was somewhere I thought you left out
His or
his or her, or you left out a
His or
her,
her.
but maybe it's in there. No, looks like it's in there. Or he or she, maybe it was a he or she.
Authorized. I just wonder
No,
about.
I don't see that. I think that's
vernacular. Do we
okay.
need to add they in there. I'm not joking. I mean, I'm wondering if that's something
There,
that we need to add.
designee.
Where are you?
There.
Instead of just having he or she, do we need to include
It says he.
they?
His or-
There. Like town administrator or their authorized designee.
Yeah,
Yeah,
We want to be inclusive.
Well, if we just put or there instead of his or her, we would be following.
Yep, that's good.
We'll continue this to
Any
a,
documents you gotta go through and change all that stuff?
so is the plan to continue this when we get the question about the contractor involvement? Is that-
Yes.
so,
Okay, good. And I'll tidy this up for the next time.
Thank you.
I think we made some progress.
All right, are we ready to move on? Consider whether trash receptacle trash and recycling receptacles should be placed on the town green.
Yes.
Hey,
Okay.
Yeah,
make your pitch.
make your pitch, or do you want me to go first so you can set up your counters? Go ahead.
Tom, you can go first. I would say that
I've been thinking about this a lot, and we don't do it on any of our other parks, for one, which doesn't mean we can't do it on this one. I will say that. We're basically furnishing a place for all our restaurants who sell something that you can take out for the people to put their trash. And I don't know that the taxpayers of Bristol should be paying to take care of the trash for the businesses on the, not necessarily even the main street. You've got Mobile and those over there too that sell. So I have a hard time. We don't do it on the other parks, and now we're looking to do it there. I would think that if people like this community enough and like coming here, that they would be able to carry whatever they, their coffee cup or their pizza box or whatever they got that they carried onto the park, they would be able to take it off with them. And I think if it becomes an issue where stuff's being left there, it becomes an enforcement issue. That's my 2 cents.
Okay, let me give you some counter to that.
Yep.
So we used to have trash on the green for many, many years, and it was taken off. So it's not like it's a foreign thing. Yes, it's a park or considered park, but it's not the same as the other parks around the area. Those other parks are far more remote. And the town green is the community space that's right in the middle of town. The taxpayers already pay for trash removal with 6 or 7 receptacles that are already in town. This was just an additional 2. I believe that by not having trash in the green, you create more of a trash problem, and perhaps Bruce can speak to that, because I've seen Bruce walk through the town green and pick up trash and throw it in our other receptacles. I believe that when the trash was on the town green, I believe it was mismanagement and not enough enforcement on our part with the trash collector to make sure that they did pick up the trash. And I have, evidence of that over the years that I've been passionate about this. A lot of times the receptacle that was sitting by the playground was missed on a Friday, and that's why it got overfilled. The receptacle design is also poor. It's very small, and I know that we deliberately tried to make smaller receptacles when those trash cans were purchased, but I don't think that's the answer. I think the best way to not have trash in your community is to have receptacles as nearby as possible. I do think they're successful in the rest of town, and I believe that, and other community members have spoken to me about this, that if we do end up putting more sort of picnic tables on the green, which was part of this plan, that we're encouraging people to spend time on the green. And I think putting trash or having trash accessible is a good thing to do. It's good for our community. So.
Okay, so say we go ahead and we put these on the park, and
yep.
And this is just food for thought.
Sure.
We have, I know the fire department is done, and the church, and everybody does their Wednesday night barbecues and stuff. And typically the trash all stays there and is carted away by them. And there are people, I'm sure there are people that walk off and eat somewhere else. So if that happens, I'm assuming we're still going to want those people to take their garbage with them when they go.
Yes, I would recommend leaving the pack in, pack out signs up, and we could also put small signs or signs on these new trash receptacles encouraging people to do that. I don't think that we'd have a tremendous issue. I think organizations who put out their own large trash cans near where they're selling, I think a lot of people will use those. It's just very easy. They're open containers. They can see that they're being used. Some trash might go into 2 receptacles that are on the town green. But I don't think we're going to find that those are overflowing after an event, because I think most organizers of events provide their own trash cans, and I think they're used. And I'm willing, if it's something where we put trash cans on the park, we make sure that our trash collector knows about the 2 locations. We're dedicated in terms of making sure that those get picked up each week. And it's successful, then I'm happy with that. If it's something where we do find overflowing trash, even if they're being picked up each week because of the amount of people that are using it, I'm happy to move them off. But I would like to just try to put them back on and just see if it is successful, especially with these new receptacles that are larger, that can hold more, that are more separate than the ones we have now, where you can have a clear distinction between recycling and with trash. But I'm fine with putting them on for a certain amount of time just to see how it works. And then go from there.
Okay, so Ian and I have gone. Michelle?
I'm just not for it. I don't care. We fought and fought and fought to get these out the park because they were overflowing. There were needles in it. There was dog crap everywhere. People were leaving trash on the park, even with the trash cans there, and I know Bruce goes through and picks stuff up, but,
You don't pick up that much.
No.
I'd like to hear from Bruce. I really.
Yeah, how much is the
How much do you really pick up? I mean, I know I've seen you, but
That's part of his job.
what do you pick up?
So when the trash can was on the park, I picked up more trash than I do now.
Right.
The can that was there the last time just wasn't enough for what for the use, and stuff was being left on top or left
Right.
on the ground and then blown around. But now, I pick up an occasional cup, some papers that have blown around, but definitely not as much as when the trash can was there.
Kind of like the ones that are out in front of covers. When they get full, they start just trying to stuff it in as much as they can or throwing it on top.
And actually, another problem that we used to have years ago is household trash was getting put.
Right.
People from wherever that camping, driving through, would stop and throw their camper trash in them, or people across the street on Main Street would bring it across and throw them in the barrels.
Well, I know Bruce stopped that at one point. He had a
No, I'm
conversation.
talking, this was a long time.
Yeah, before that.
I see both sides of this, Ian, I really do, and I was thinking maybe a trial run myself, but, you know, from talking to trash people who pick it up, you know, if one person puts a half cup of coffee into that recycling, it spreads all over, that's all trash. And I don't see a lot of trash on the park, thanks to Bruce, but I don't think there's a lot of people are spreading it around. I mean, yeah, I see bicycle companies, not so much VBT anymore, but other bicycle companies that come into town and, you know, and then they have a service van that follows those riders around and all the trash goes in that service van and off they go. So I don't see a huge problem right now. I know, Darla, I think under your regime as the rec director, we started the pack in, pack out because we were getting, as Michelle said, needles and dog poop and household trash and this and that. And what I'd like to see is take the garbage cans off on Main Street in front of the restaurants. Covers is full all the time, and it's not people walking the street putting their coffee cup in that maybe bought it from their car or from mobile or wherever. It's pizza boxes, and everybody who sits out on those stools out there, those tables, goes and empties it right in our trash cans. And as people said, I'm not sure our businesses, our public, taxpayers should be paying for it. If they didn't have a place to put it out there, if it was down in front of Recycle Reading or down there by Honey Lights, they probably wouldn't lug their trash all the way down there. They'd lug it back into covers.
No, I think they'd love it.
Somewhat.
I'm thinking of other communities that you visit, and they often have trash cans out for people to use. It makes your downtown more user-friendly if you've got, I mean, I'm thinking of when I was traveling with 3 kids, there was often a diaper in the car that I didn't want to drive around with for the next 3 hours that I looked for a trash can to use. So I think it's like, what are we trying to accomplish by having a trash can? Is it a convenience? Is it a public service? Are we trying to eliminate a trash problem? Well, that doesn't sound like that exists right now, but that doesn't mean that by having these that they would get abused. I'm in favor of giving it a trial run. Absolutely, when I was running the rec department, it was a hot mess over there. But I don't think we're not in the same situation like with needles and things like that.
No.
Thankfully we've turned a curve in that aspect. So I feel like we need to look at this beyond just, are we bringing people into our community? Do we want to make it user-friendly? That's the side of it that I see and that I would like to see. So I would be in favor of a trial.
I mean, I think that putting these new trash cans out in front of covers and that with the total recycled, total garbage might alleviate the problems that we're currently having there.
And maybe, Darla, you make a good point. And maybe it's a trial run, maybe after Memorial Day till, I'm thinking maybe around the middle of October, they go out on the park. You know, the bicycle season is coming and travelers are more, and then it's fall foliage, and then after that,
right.
They
Maybe
go
they're
in.
not close to the road. Maybe they're more centered, so it's not quite so easy to.
Well, you got to think about getting them on Friday mornings.
That's true too.
You know, they can't lug that thing that's fairly full and roll that in the middle of the park all the way to the back of the park to get it into their truck.
Were you thinking of locations, Ian?
Yeah, I would like to see one back near the playground because it's a heavily used area, both by kids and parents. And I think if it's managed properly and the trash is picked up, I don't think we have a problem. I think what Bruce is describing is stuff that I've seen that I've documented over time and sent to Val and sent to the town, is that it just wasn't picked up. It was missed many times. And there were times that on a Friday it didn't get picked up and it sits there for another week. And I can document a number of occasions where I've emailed the town to have them picked up when I wasn't a select board member because it was missed. You know, it's a simple thing. We have 8 trash cans. You pick up 8 trash cans when you're doing it. So I'd like to see one back near the playground because I think it would have good use there, and maybe somewhere towards the front of the park. And that was mainly for ease, like Jill says, ease of pickup. They can pull in fairly easily near the intersection, be able to grab that one, and also then pull around on Park and be able to grab the one near the playground.
I'm sorry, just remind me, Ian, these do, like Michelle said, have separate recycling and trash sides, is that correct?
Yeah, so they're essentially two separate containers. They're not as nice looking as the metal ones we have because they're about 3 or 4 times the cost. Val will share. So it's very simple. They're plastic containers. You can weigh them down if you need to. They have their own plastic liner that we bought that goes inside. So you pop off the top, pull the plastic inner liner to be able to dump, which matches what we have in the other trash cans. And then the recycling one is fairly similar to that. It has recycling labels on it and has a slightly smaller sort of round hole. It's similar to this, but it just has a single hole in 2 sides instead of all the way around. The both of them, we can either have them separate, or my thought was just to bolt them together, and I have the hardware to do that, just so they're side by side. These were, fairly inexpensive, and the trash cans we have now are 32 gallons, which means it's 16 gallons for recycling and 16 for trash. These are 42 gallons each. And so what I hope to alleviate is the problem that we have, and the reason why we have a second pickup that we're paying for on Monday is to not have them be overflowing just over 2 or 3 days on a weekend. Hopefully with these larger containers and sort of more separated containers, we won't have that issue. And so we can remove the Monday trash pickup, which is the extra one that we're paying for, and just have them pick up on Friday. We will add in, grabbing an additional 2 cans on the Friday, but I don't know, that might equal the cost of the Monday. It might be less because they're already picking up our trash anyway. I'm not sure about that. But I'm happy with the trial run. I'd like to see it, and I do agree. The green looks good. Jessica in the comments mentioned that she does, she goes through and picks up trash on the green, as do I. But I would like to, just have the ability to do a trial and see how this works out. If they're overused, if we have an issue with them, I'm happy to discuss again and go from there.
I think I'm okay with a trial, but I would personally like to see some sort of sign on it.
Sure.
I would leave that to your discretion. Something to the effect that, this is pack in, pack out. This is for your coffee cup or your
water bottle, plastic water bottle goes in the recycling.
I mean, I don't know how to word it, Ian, but I would be open to a trial if you're willing to put some sort of signage on it to see.
Yeah.
The signage should go on Main Street as well.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, it's a little different with the pack in, pack out on Main Street versus the park. So it's hard to do the wording there. But I would for the 2 on the green, I would put signage on, create signs and say that, this is a pack in, pack out park, or you're encouraged to do that, something like that. I can run the wording by everyone before I install those.
I mean, the garbage can that's right out here in front of Holly Hall doesn't get half the trash that the one in front of Covers does, and I wonder why.
No, but I do think you are right in terms of there's a lot of trash being created by the businesses. I do think some of them handle their own. I mean, the gas station handles, they have trash cans right there, and stuff gets thrown in there. The businesses don't, because I think it is just difficult to put out a trash can by your business and not have it used by the general public. The issue with Covers is that their trash that they or not their trash, but their boxes are just so large that just one box blocks the small containers that we have. These are larger containers, but if you're stuffing a few pizza boxes in, they're still going to get blocked. I mean, it's hard to not get away with that. And I think the only solution to that is to have the town speak to Covers regarding that, to ask them if they are they able to do something to alleviate that. But I do think, Darla described what I think, we provide it as a service. As a resident, if you're walking through town, yes, your tax money is paying for that, but I'm doing that, but I'm using those trash cans. It's a useful thing to have. And I think a lot of dog owners who are residents in town who walk their dog appreciate that. Do they want to walk another, 10 blocks back to their house carrying dog waste when the trash can is right there and usable. And I think it encourages, it helps the beautification of the community. And I think for the small amount of money that it costs us each year to have trash containers emptied, I think it's a worthwhile thing to provide. And I'm working very hard to try to get it where we don't have to have the trash pickup happen double, during the year, during our high tourist season. I'm working to try to get it so it does look nice, because I hate seeing overflowing trash cans every Monday when I walk through town or drive through town. I mean, that doesn't make the town look good.
That defeats the purpose.
It's worse than having a little bit on the ground.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly. Because it shows that we don't care about the town, and I know that's not true.
I don't think it's gonna may cut down to 1 day a week, as you say, but they'll have to pick another day to come get the recycling out of that same half a barrel or that trash can.
It's another barrel entirely, so.
But they're side by side.
Yeah.
They won't be able to do them both the same day.
No, I mean, that recycling's done on the Wednesday and trash is picked up on the Friday. So it's already split.
I would say as long as we continue to ask folks who use the park for a barbecue or whatever to continue to put out their own trash barrels, I am in favor of this trial.
Yeah, I'm okay with a trial as long as we, as long as we put some signage on it and.
Okay.
And
What's your time frame and deadline?
Yeah.
What's the trial?
Yep.
I'd like to see them off the park by no later than,
now what's the trial?
Like, are we doing 3 months? Are we gonna do from now until
till
November 1?
October 21st, before Halloween, get them off the park. Or by November 1st.
And who gets stuck doing this?
That's what that was my next question. Who's taking them off the park and who's?
Well, wait, so what describe to me what the trial is. I would think a trial is this: if it's successful and we don't have overflowing trash and they get picked up, then that seems like it's successful. Is there a reason why we're taking them off then? That doesn't seem like a trial to me. That just seems like
If we needed
reevaluate it then.
If we need to stay at 2 days a week through the summer months, I would say that when it gets to the point where they're not full twice a week, that, they're half full twice a week, that we go to a weekly pickup. Either it's gonna work or it's not. We're gonna know right off the bat if it's gonna work.
Right, if we're at the end of July, maybe we say till the end of September or end of August, and then we'll reevaluate. Are you more comfortable with August?
Yeah, end of August, Ian?
Sure, that's fine.
Reevaluate it then.
Michelle?
Well, how long is it going to take, though, to have the signs fabricated and installed? Because that might take a week or so, and that's eating into the August time period.
Next Monday will be August.
I would say
second.
you would have.
I'd like to go the 1st of October. Get 2 months under your belt.
Okay.
September and October.
And then at the end of that, what are we reevaluating? Whether they stay on the park, and what determines whether they stay and what determines whether they go?
If Bruce comes back and say he's picking up twice the trash that he's currently picking up.
I hope not.
Or that they're overflowing all the time, I would say those would be the two determining factors that would tell me they're gone.
Or if they're I don't know, do you want to say if they're mixing trash in with the recycle bin, we're not getting recycle and trash, we're winding up paying for.
But that's happening with the trash cans on Main Street now. I mean, so there are 2 sets that will go on the park, and there are 2 of these same trash bins that will replace the ones in by that little park area near covers. So the idea is that those are the most used ones. They would be able to handle more trash, and hopefully pizza boxes can get folded up and put in there, and they won't be overflowing, and we won't have to do two times a week to do it.
I want the pizza boxes to go back into covers and take care of their own trash.
You just make your own sign.
They come out and pick up the tables.
They don't come out of the bank and throw their money on the street, do they?
No.
Wish they did.
That was yesterday. We did that.
I just wanted to make a note that if things are overflowing because they didn't get picked up, that's one thing.
Yes,
and we'll need to, we need to make note of that. But if they're overflowing because of overuse, or lack of actually getting it into the trash can, that's a different thing.
Yeah, if people get really excited about having trash cans in the park and they're overflowing no matter what we do, then yes, I totally agree. Let's take them off. I don't think that'll happen. I think they'll get normal use. But I think by just putting these two on the park allows people who are sitting at new picnic tables to be able to throw trash there. And I think replacing the two that are near covers will prevent one will prevent our having to empty them twice a week, and two, you will not see them overflowing anymore. They'll just be normal looking trash cans.
So the first meeting in October is the 11th. Shall we plan to have this as an agenda item to assess the trial run?
Sure.
The trash.
We'll remind the board that, the state parks are pack in, pack out with Brandberry a couple weeks ago, and pack in, pack
They've
out.
been pack in, pack out.
For years,
For years.
so. And
And even if you're camping,
Yeah.
you have to pack in, you pack it out.
Like
Out the garbage.
Campersville, they provide a trash thing, but you have to bring it there.
Sure, but this is a town green. It's not a state park, and it's not one of our other parks. It's a very different thing.
We've got the parameters, we'll try it, we'll see how it goes, and I know that you'll keep track of whether it's picked up or not, so we'll know whether or not that's an issue. And I mean, that's something else to address other than, them being
Right.
overfull from.
Right, and I'm the last person who wants to put trash cans on the park and then have them be overflowing, believe me. So if it doesn't work, I'll be all for taking them off if people are abusing them.
Perfect.
Jessica had a note in the chat. I didn't read it.
Right.
I was just pointing out that the problem that you're trying to fix is not that people have trash and they put it in the trash can versus just dumping it out on the green. The problem that you're trying to avoid is that you worry that people might dump business trash or bring their trash from home and dump them in the trash cans, and that's why they're overflowing. So overflowing isn't necessarily the problem that you're trying to solve. You're instead worried about people abusing the trash cans so that they don't
Correct.
have to pay for their own trash.
Right,
So
which has happened in the past.
So I was just pointing out that for the trial to know if it's successful, if the trash cans are overflowing because we have such great usage of the town green and the local businesses, that's a good problem to have, and we should have more frequent trash pickup. But if the problem is that people are abusing it by dumping their trash in there, that's a different issue. That's all I was trying to point out.
Okay, that's true. Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, thank you very much for this long discussion about trash. I appreciate it.
You got your 15 minutes worth.
So with one more thing, so the picnic
Your time's
tables.
up.
No. Well, okay, our ordinance says you can't put anything on and off the green or do anything with it anymore. So I'm just wondering, am I okay putting picnic tables on the green? Because I've got 4 of them. Do you need to approve me to do that, or can I just do that?
Those are a place to sit. Those provide, I mean, I don't think I wouldn't consider it a structure.
Are they staying apart, or are they removing them for the winter?
I don't know. It's a discussion I'd like to have. It depends what people want to do. If you leave them in the winter, that means they're going to degrade faster. But also too, that it's on days you can sit there. If you're in your snow gear, you can sit down and use the table, but they will probably won't survive as long as they would if you take them off and just stack them, and out of heavy snow. I know that Eric has probably some discussion about that and where we'd put them. We were already talking about that with salt bearers and things like that. But I mean, there is space to stack things. They don't necessarily need to be inside, but they could be stacked and covered, things like that. But it would be up to, I'm happy to have a discussion about that. I personally, I don't mind leaving them on the green. But they will wear, it was a grant. It wasn't something that taxpayers paid for. And I know that they would be used in the colder months as well as the warmer months. So I'm fine with doing that if everyone's okay with that. And it's less work for Eric and his crew to pull off tables. And I don't want to give them more work either.
What material the picnic table's made of?
They're all metal. They're metal and they're spray coated.
But just have to make sure they're not in the way of the sidewalk cloth. They stay there all winter too.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Similar to the benches stay year round. And it's metal and it's sprayed and painted.
So it's like anything else. If it works and gets used, it's worth having there. If it doesn't, and I foresee those being used all the time. Great. I see them being used year round. There are people that sit over there in the wintertime and drink their coffee or watch their kids run around in the snow, and so.
Especially when there are events going on, holidays and other things, other festival kind of things going on.
Okay, terrific. Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right. Number 7, consider request from Bristol taxpayer Richard Russell to waive the delinquent tax fees on his April tax bill. That is not our jurisdiction. That is the BCA as far as I know.
Well, and
there's another piece of information, a very important piece of information was overlooked on this situation, and that is that the deadline for the taxes was April 5th. For some reason, I had it in my mind that it was April 15th. But
that's next year.
But that's next year.
And I said that at a meeting, and you corrected me. So it's on record that I said it was the 15th, and you said no, that's next year. This year it's still the 5th.
Right. So for this agenda item, my outline in the TA report is inaccurate because all the documentation that the taxpayer provided shows that it's late. So it was postmarked on the 5th, but the tax paperwork and everything else clearly says that postmarks do not qualify for timeliness. So this agenda item is somewhat moot at this point because it was late.
We don't need to deal with it. Okay.
And it is a BCA issue. It's not the select board cannot abate taxes.
Right.
So onward.
Yep.
Okay. Review and approve. Approval of June 14th, June 28th, and July 12th meeting minutes.
The June 14th minutes were emailed today. The other 2 are still in the hopper.
I did not get to look at them, so
I didn't get to look at them either.
Can we put that off until next meeting?
Okay.
Looks like that's going to happen. Authorize accounts payable warrants, liquor licenses, South Mountain Tavern liquor license, clarification of operating conditions.
So can we just do what the operating conditions were for Hatch and make sure that's on their one?
So Sharon put a lot of effort last week into trying to track down what the Hatch conditions were. And for whatever reasons, because the original approval was issued so long or a while ago or enough time ago that it's not readily accessible. So we just have, apparently we need to just rely on our collective memory of what those conditions were and specify that now for South Mountain Tavern.
Well, Bruce had his recommendations.
Mm-hmm. But I think they couldn't serve alcohol outside after 10, if I remember. It could be outside the doors.
Right.
Is that right? After 10.
That's correct. At 10 o'clock, they cannot serve alcohol on the porch after 10 p.m.
And did we have it also, Bruce? Oops, sorry.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Also have there, if the band was playing or music was playing, they had to shut the doors, had to shut the so-called garage door at 10, so music couldn't get out.
I don't know if that was something that you had for Hatch. I'm not having them closed by midnight. I would really like to have that specified.
And that was a Hatch thing too.
That was Hatch. That at midnight, the customers are out by midnight.
So So their last call has to be accordingly, planned accordingly.
Correct.
Can we dictate last call?
I don't know.
Not that we can dictate it, but if they have to be out by 12, they better be done their drinks. They can't take it
Yeah.
out the door. Guzzle it at 5 up or 2 up, you know?
Can't call last
And then
call
Bruce will be
before
sitting
12.
across the street waiting for him.
No, I hope he's home. Maybe an officer.
There was something with the door, and I can't remember what it was, when it was open and when it was closed.
It was due to noise.
Due to
Yeah.
noise, I thought any music, or the door had to be closed at 10 when the street, when the, no drinking out on the porch.
Yeah.
At 10, the door had to close. So the music.
Well, the only details that I found in terms of close to this would be on March 30th, 2015. Matt and Sarah Wizzle came to the board. They talked about it says Matt has negotiated with Ivan to allow live music for a longer period of time. Joel moved to authorize Jen to sign the outside consumption permit with hours being the same as the previous permit and within the enclosed patio area, which we previously discussed. Michelle seconded, but I guess we don't have that previous permit, which was for NDs.
Was it ND's or was it Dan's? Did it go all the way back to Dan's?
It was, yeah, that's true. I mean, yeah, NDs might just be like same as previous permit. So
We changed it when, and I don't remember if it was Dan's or it was after Dan's. We
When
changed
was the
it.
shooting? When Dan's had it?
Yeah, because they were open till 2 and we changed it so that they had to be closed by midnight.
And the door didn't go in until,
Jeremy started running it, right?
No, I think
was
Dan.
Dan's?
I
I
think
think it was Dan put it in.
Dan, yeah, Dan put that in.
I mean, I'm okay with midnight, close at midnight.
Yep.
all patrons must be gone by midnight, is what you want, right, Bruce?
Well, if you're closed by midnight, they should be out by midnight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can't close them in.
Okay.
Well,
And
they-
I'm sure they're gonna be fine with that.
Yes,
And
they,
it'll help DPW move
How
slow
about-
during the winter time if they're closed at midnight.
How about, I don't mind making the motion, but New Year's Eve, we'll let them stay open till 1. Can't really celebrate New Year's Eve, and you gotta be out just before midnight, so, New Year's Eve, they stay open till 1.
sure.
Okay?
Yep.
So I'll make a motion that South Mountain Taverns,
I don't know that we need to make a motion.
well, I
I would
want to because
recommend it.
so we'll have the hours now for future years.
Yes.
Going back to
Good
2000.
idea.
So I'll make a motion, we allow South Mountain the same, closing hours as the previous owner, as midnight closing, with New Year's Eve being the exception, closing at 1, New Year's Eve.
No outside consumption.
No outside
after 10.
consumption after 10, and the overhead door will be closed at 10 o'clock.
If there's music.
If there's music being played or recorded, DJ/music.
If there's music.
If there's music,
You just say music.
the door has to be closed at 10.
I'll second.
I got the hours in there now, Michelle.
Further discussion.
Wait, sorry. So the music thing, is that something we've done in the past, closing the door? I guess I don't remember seeing that, but maybe I'm not up at 11 o'clock. I'm probably not, so.
People upstairs were complaining.
People that live
Okay.
down that.
Down in that area, you could hear
The music, when the door was open, the music was going out into the streets, and I believe our noise ordinance is 10 o'clock as well, Bruce?
Okay.
I think it's 9.
So are you
Okay,
saying
that's-
you're allowed to have the door open if there's no music?
Yes.
Yes.
But they still can't
Okay.
serve at 10.
Right.
They can have the door open at 5.
Further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye, raise your hand.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Right.
What was the warrants? Tasha, do you have the warrant?
$64,409.71, Tasha?
Yep.
All right, select board roundtable. Ian,
I had a resident ask about the COVID relief funds. Any update on that in terms of how the town can spend that? And I don't think there is, right, Val?
There isn't, and I have a brief
Okay.
blurb in my report about that we're still waiting on the county allocation, and there's no timeline for when that information will be provided. But until then, we know that we've committed to the 402,000 that would be provided over two, divided into two payments, half this year and half next year. But until we know what the other figure is, I think we need to wait before making any serious decisions.
Is there a timeline on when that has to be spent by?
There
It has to be
was, there was.
spent by or committed by 2024 and spent by 2026, unless they change the rules later down the road because folks need more time, but that's the way it is right now.
they would never change the rules.
No.
Not much.
Anything else, Ian?
No, that's it. Thank you.
Michelle?
Do we have an executive session tonight, Val, on personnel?
I don't have anything to bring forward unless anybody else does.
I have something I would like to talk about in executive session about personnel. Other than that, I asked my questions of Eric, so I'm good.
Darla?
I was contacted by Michelle, I'm gonna call her Michelle Butler because I can't remember her new married name, so I apologize, Michelle, from Rise Vermont, about the pop-up traffic calming. She had contacted you, Valerie, a while back about doing something near the Creamy Stand. I don't understand all of it. I didn't know if you remembered anything. She's willing to come and talk to the group, talk to the board about it.
A pop-up what?
Pop-up traffic calming. And I don't know what her plan is. I just got this email from her when I was away last week.
Didn't they come and talk to us about doing something on Pleasant Street? Wasn't that the thing where they were trying to put the lines?
Narrow the street up.
Yeah, narrow.
Do
It
you-
wasn't on Main Street though, it was on,
Well,
one of the side roads.
her email to me said near the Creamy Stand, so maybe she met across the road or something, but I'm wondering if you want to invite her to the next meeting and have her talk to us about it.
Anything they're
Forward
gonna,
that email to me.
I will look it up, yes.
anything they're gonna do in that road, they need state permission
Yeah,
as well.
so-
If they're on the Main Street. If
Yeah.
she's got their Maple Street, then
Yeah.
that may be different.
Okay, I will send that to you and we can follow up from there. That's all I had.
So Darla, you should also forward that to Jessica, who actually just left, because she's going to be handling the sort of speed reduction and traffic calming and safety project that Bristol Core is working on. She's spearheading that now with a few other people who are interested in the community. So it might be good to get her talking to Jessica about that.
Great, all right, thank you.
Joel?
No.
Eric, a couple questions for you. We talked about spraying the new sidewalks down on Main Street, remember, to help with the corrosion with the rust or the salt? And where did we leave that? Did we ever get those sprayed, those new sidewalks?
They were sprayed once when they.
And didn't he recommend every other year?
It was either every other year or every year, I can't remember what Zach
Just
said.
something we should keep during budget season if we're gonna do it every other year?
I can get a hold of Zach and ask him.
Okay, and I was looking through the pay orders, and our GMP bill dropped about, it used to be like $4,200, $4,800, Valerie, and I see it was like $2,700, $2,800 this month. But our Bristol solar payment was $3,600. I just need to know where the gain is there. I mean, I support the project way down in South Bristol, because you can't see it in the neighbors or anywhere, but it seems like we're paying more in solar than we would be with electricity combined. I just was wondering where the savings was there.
Our savings is only 4,000. It's a small amount.
Okay, thank you.
And it's because we don't own the array, you know. So if we did own it, we would have all of our electricity would be credited. But the fact that we don't, we get all electricity credited through Green Mountain Power, but then we do pay the solar project for that energy.
And thank you for VTUMS for the bottled water, to donating some money to that. But just to be sure, did that go out to bid? Was that over the bid mark, $3,000, or we only paid 1,000 of that, so we didn't have to go out to bid? I just want to make sure
We only paid $1,000 and it came with the grant.
Yeah, it was a grant.
And then Ireland Road, I took some pictures. Remember we looked at that where a parent did that work? Eric, have you seen that lately? It's beginning to widen out, that little bit of grass that was left there that's opening towards the, going down.
You mean on the piece that we're not sure is ours or Star Straws?
Where,
That
just
spot.
inside the woods?
No, it's on the lawn, but there's a section about 1 foot wide there. It's gotten a little wider. I've got some pictures if you want to see it.
Wash?
From a wash, and it's coming right off the road and going right down towards that wash. I just was wondering, we should take a look at that, see if we should line up a little bit of stone.
Okay, I'll go.
And my last question is, I saw in the pay orders in June or so, the $2,500 that Valerie, and I don't expect an answer tonight, but the $2,500 that the water department gives, puts in the paving budget of the town's highway department. Was that used to pave some pavement? Like Eric did a repair over by my street, where we have the speed bump now. But that was a perfect example why that $2,500 a year is to repair these over time, these water things. But I think it got used, that $2,500 got used to pay a paving bill from VTOMS not too long ago. I just like some clarification on that. I meant to bring it up a while back. It was in the pay orders or something, $2,500 for paving. And with the $2,500 to go, is there now $2,500 in Eric's budget for paving? Or did it go to pay the bill? It's not for new, what I'm trying to say is that $2,500 a year to go to the DPW is not to pay for new installs. It's to pay for water lines like that sunk over time, like on Pine Street, where he finally had to do something and he used some of that money. It was more than $2,500, but he got it over years. Gets $2,500 a year, and I just wanted an explanation on that. I thought we paid a bill of paving on a water repair somewhere in town in June, May or June. We don't have to go back way back, okay? I can talk with you tomorrow, Valerie, if you want, so. All right, and that's all I had, Peter.
The only question I got is we've got a $300,000 grant on Lincoln Road. Has anything happened with any of that yet? Have we gone out for an engineer to design that, or?
We haven't received the grant agreement yet.
And that was something that was supposed to be able to be done this, she said this year, right? This season.
Ashley said this season.
So maybe you need to poke Ashley to see where that's at, because I don't, you know, what's going to happen is we're going to go into winter and then ice is going to come down through and get into those two little cutouts, and we're going to have a bigger repair than we already have. So.
Peter, I
I'm
actually
sure we haven't received the grant agreement yet, but I'll double check. But
talking about the meeting we're going to have, a special meeting on August 16th.
No.
And that's the only thing on the agenda, right, Valerie?
yes,
August
that's the only thing.
I'm going to have 4 or 5 things that people come in and beg you to put on. Okay, hold you to that.
Hey,
I'll
Val, I have a
exercise my no.
Okay.
The quick question, the DWSRF funding priority list for Pine Street,
I'm
is
sorry.
that something, the DWSRF funding priority list for Pine Street?
Right?
Is that something that, you know, if I remember right, do we have to say, yeah, we're going to use it this year, or no, we're not? Can we be put in line for the following year? Is that something we have to do?
If we don't meet the deadlines, then we automatically get bumped. Well, we'd have to reapply, but we'd get passed over.
Okay.
As used the term in Obama years, is that project shovel ready?
Which project? The Pine Street? Not yet.
Shovel ready.
No,
What are we waiting for?
I talked with Alan today, and he's kind of in the final stages of finalizing the preliminary engineering report. It's being reviewed by different folks at the Agency of Natural Resources. And when that's pretty finalized, then he plans to make a presentation to the Selectboard where we will talk about the final recommendations and the path forward in terms of cost estimates and a bond vote and the loan money and just, and by then we should also have, well, hopefully, we'll have a better handle on the American Rescue Plan funding and what kind of resources from there we may or may not want to put toward this project.
I mean, we've been talking about it since Bill Bryant was here. I just can't believe we're still, well, we're not got it all engineered yet. I'm a little shocked, to be honest with you. I thought we
Did you
had the
see
money
the email?
tonight.
You
Had
said
the money tonight, start out to bid. I mean, that's all I'm just thinking, that's all.
in the other business section, there's the email that describes the next steps. Now that we've been approved for funding through that loan program, there's a timeline that needs to be followed.
All right, thank you.
We all set? Administrators report. Valerie, you only have 5 minutes.
Okay, I think I'm good. I don't have much to add to my written report. I just wanted to point out that it was brought to my attention that the Planning Commission at their most recent meeting voted to change the regular meeting schedule. So rather than it being on August 17th, which was in my report on the calendar, it's going to be the first Tuesday in August now. So yeah, so it'll be the first Tuesday in August, not the 17th. I wanted to check in with select board members about your availability to have a special meeting on August 16th for the Lincoln Road project review. I've heard from some people, but not everybody. So does that work for folks?
Works for me.
Oh, that's great. Super.
On the agenda.
Yeah, that's my email back to her. This is all we're dealing with, right?
Right. I think that there'll be enough information to talk about to keep us busy for that. Just that. And also I wanted to bring to your attention that Ben Marks from the Acorn group has been trying to connect with me. We've been playing phone tag and email tag. They've been trying to coordinate with Green Mountain Power to get some overhead line work done, but because they don't have, Green Mountain Power is questioning their authorization to request work be done on property that they don't have rights to, legal rights to. So I don't know how that's going to shake out, but I may be asked to communicate with Green Mountain Power on behalf of the town, on behalf of them, to have certain work done to support the solar project. But because we haven't had a chance to talk about it, I don't know all the details. I just want to let you know that that's in the pipeline, so to speak.
They didn't think that one through, did they?
Valerie, I do know from talking to somebody at Green Mountain Power, new and larger poles aren't going to go in from the dump entrance, the old landfill entrance, to the old Autumn Harp entrance, just past between Munsell and Maple. Bigger, larger poles are going to go in. So I think the board at least ought to see where they're staked out and give their maybe some feedback through with the road foreman.
Well, would that require the permit approval, the utility work right-of-way permit approval from the select board?
Not if they're putting them back where they are, I wouldn't think. Well, I guess anytime when they change poles on East Street, they got approval as well. So I think they do have to come before us before they can change them.
Well, that's good to know. Okay, other than that, I don't have any other news.
All right, good.
Hey, Eric, before we go into the second, so did you talk to the Green Mountain Power telephone company about the stakes up on Meehan Road?
I haven't been able to, I've talked to Green Mountain Power. Teresa hasn't called me back yet for Wakefield. Green Mountain Power doesn't have anything going in up there
So
yet.
must be the thing.
So, and the phone company is the one that puts the poles in.
Right.
So I can skip her, but I can try her again tomorrow.
You got that mental list of all the things you
Not really.
I believe you, Eric.
Peaker's gonna text me all the stuff I need to do.
He can't remember stuff.
It looks like, Eric, you're free and clear then.
Correspondence, reports, correspondence received, anything?
Hey, Val, the Bristol revolving loan fund, have we finished the refinancing of the Vermont tree goods? Because I see their one loan is still, like, hasn't been paid since.
There was a new loan closing, I think, last month.
So that should be updated with a new payment.
I would think so.
Maybe Valerie, next regular meeting, could we just get it in your paper copy of all, usually Jen sends us the sheets of who owes and who's back.
It was online.
Oh, it's online?
Yeah.
I'll have to go online at home.
Yeah.
See, I can't get in online.
Yeah, it's in the other business. Oh, and you can click on the link through my TA report too. It's listed there.
Brutal.
You're
Okay.
super duper.
Anything else?
Nope.
Executive session, Michelle?
Okay, I make a motion, we enter an executive session to discuss personnel matters per 1 VSA section 313.
Second.
All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carried.